Hello, welcome to the second part of the 100 likely mathematics UTME questions. So if you haven't seen the first video, endeavor to exit this particular one and go watch the first video quickly. In the first video, we treated about 10 questions covering some core mathematics syllabus for JAMB. In this video, we treated as many questions as possible. So if you haven't subscribed to this YouTube channel, endeavor to do that immediately, and as well turn post notifications so that you can be aware when we release other videos as regards UTME for 2026. For our first question, we are asked to evaluate the integral of upper and lower limit 4 and 1. Then we have this particular expression here. So how do we go about it? First thing that should come to your mind is that before we want to integrate, so we have to first simplify the variable x here, so that you can have a power. So we would have that integral of upper and lower limit 4 and 1, open a bracket, then this 1 over root x, I can simplify it. First, let's look at root x. Root x can be written as x raised to the power of 1 over 2. How do I know? I remember that under indices, we have when our power is a fraction. If I have x raised to the power of a over b, I can rewrite this where the denominator of the base will become the root. That is b root of x. Then this numerator will become the power. So if I compare it with this, there is an invisible 2 here and there's an invisible 1 here. So whenever you see roots, square roots, you should note that there's an invisible 2 here, there's an invisible 1 here. So if you write this, become what? X raised to the power of what? 1 over 2. Now, that being said, remember that there is a 1 over on it from this top here. The 1 over is there. So that 1 over as well, I can also rewrite it as comparing the rule of negative index under indices. So when I have 1 over in indices, I can remove the 1 over and put a negative sign in my index. If you follow the previous video, I actually explained the rule of negative index. So if you haven't seen the video, endeavor to check it. So that is settled. So that particular value that I have here, this, I can represent it with this. So I would have x raised to the power of minus 1 over 2 minus 6x cubed. Now, I believe you should be able to tell me the answer to this. So root x automatically now will now be what? X raised to the power of 1 over 2. You're very correct. So x raised to the power of 1 over 2 minus 3, close my bracket, dx. Now we can integrate. Now how do we integrate? So remember that integration is the opposite of differentiation. So you'll be adding and dividing by the power. So what would we have? We would have what? X raised to the power of minus 1 over 2. You add 1 to the power, that's plus 1. Then the total sum of this, you put it as a denominator. So minus half plus 1, that's going to be half. So that's give us half. Then we have minus 6x cubed, then add 1. So that would be what? Over 4. Because 3 plus 1 is 4. You divide it by the power. Then plus 9x 1 over 2 plus 1. Then you divide it by the power. 1 over 2 plus 1 gives us 3 over 2 minus. Now look at this. When you're integrating a constant, you are going to assume that there is a variable x raised to power 0 there, because x raised to power 0 is 1. 3 times 1 is also 3. It's the same thing. So you add 1 on it, then what would you have? 0 plus 1. Is that okay? But 0 plus 1 is still 1. So you close your bracket. Now remember that there are upper and lower limits there. You put 4 and you put 1. So let's simplify. You can see that it's quite simple. So this here will give us x raised to the power 1 over 2. Now if I have divided by 1 over 2 here, whenever you have a scenario like this, exactly like this, just write the denominator, the denominator of the fraction that is under, multiplied by the top. So you're going to have what? 2x raised to the power 1 over 2 over this 1. Did you get it? So minus this 2 here is 3, 2 here is 2. So we'll have what? 3x raised to the power 4 over 2 plus 9x raised to the power of 3 over 2. Now remember what I said. This 2 multiplied by 9. 2 times 9 will give me 18. 2 times 9 is 18. Then divided by the 3. Did you get that? So minus 3x. 0 plus 1 is what? 1. That's x raised to the power 1 is still x. Then over 1 is still that value that we have there. We have 4 and 1. So from here I can say 3 here, 1, 3 here, 6. So to finally finish up, we would have 2x raised to the power of 1 over 2 minus 3x raised to the power of 4 over 2 plus 6x raised to the power of 3 over 2 minus 3x, 4 and 1. So what we do next is that we introduce our upper limit and our lower limits, then we subtract into the variable x. So we would have 2, you do the upper limit first, 2 into 4, wherever I say x, I'm putting 4, I have 1 over 2 minus 3 into 4 raised to the power of 4 over 2 plus 6 into 4 raised to the power of 3 over 2 minus 3 into 4, right? Then I close my brackets. Then what would I have? Minus. Now I'm going to be subtracting when I put the lower limit there. That is 1. So what's the lower limit? 2 into 1 raised to the power of 1 over 2 minus 3 into 1 raised to the power of 4 over 2 plus 6 into 1 raised to the power of 3 over 2. Then I have minus 3 into 1. I close my brackets. All right, what we do next from here is we simplify. So remember that I said when you have 1 over 2 as the power, it will become square root. So it will become square root of 4. Is that understood? Minus 3 into 4 times 4 raised to the power of 4 raised to the power of 4. Then we need to simplify that, and that will give us what? 256. We'll have 256 all over 2, then plus 6. Remember that I said the denominator of the fraction in the power will form the root, while the 3 will form the power. So I would have 2 roots of 4. And I told you that when there's 2 here, you don't need to write it. It's invisible. Then you put the power of 3 there. So we would have minus 3 times 4 here is what? 12. I close the bracket. Then let's do the other side. Let's do the other side. The other side will give us minus, open a bracket, 1 raised to the power over 2 still give us 1. 1 times 2 is what? 2 minus 1 raised to the power of 4 still give us 1. 1 times 3 is 3. We have 3 over 2 here. Then plus 1 raised to the power of whatever, it still gives us the same thing. 1 times 6 is what? 6 minus 3. So we simplify, continue to simplify until we arrive at our destination. But when you're solving it in your JAMB exam, you can actually skip so many steps that I'm overemphasizing on. Is that okay? So from here, we'd have 2 times root 4 is 2. 2 times 2 will give me what? 4 minus, would have 2 into 56. That's what we'll do there. 2 into 56, then we'll multiply it by 3. And that's going to give us what? Minus 384. Plus, the square root of 4 here is 2. Because if you do square root of 4 here is 2, then 2 raised to the power of 3 will give me what? 6 into 8. Is that okay? Because here will give me 8. This is square root of 4, 2 raised by 3, 8. And I can also do 2 times 6 times 8 will give me what? 48. Then minus 12, I close my bracket, minus, then we'll have 2 minus, let's just call it like times. Let's say 2 plus 6, 8. 8 minus 3 is 5. Then we'll have 5 minus 3 over 2. So we only added this and this, then subtracted it from this. So let's simplify all of this that we have in the bracket. We are going to have that everything here will give us minus 3, 4, 4. Then we have minus LCM of this and this. Let's find the LCM. LCM is 2. 1 and 2 is what? So 2 times 5, 10. 2 times 5 is 10. Minus 2 in 2 here is 1. 1 times 3 is 3. So we would have minus 3, 4, 4 minus 7 over 2. Because 10 minus 3 is 7. Then you have over 2. Then you can find the LCM of the 2 of them. LCM is as well 2. 1 and 2, 2. 2 times this is minus 6, 8, 8. Minus 6, 8, 8 minus 7. Because 2 into is 1. 1 times 7 will give you 7. And the final answer to our question is minus 695 over 2. This is a very beautiful question. A chord of a circle of radius 11 centimeter is 6 centimeter from the center of the circle. What is the length of the chord? Very simple. If you understand what a chord is a line segment that divides the circle at 2 points. So basically, if I have a circle, a chord is this line. Is that okay? So if I represent that, I would have that this is a chord and then the radius, let's say this is the center of the circle, and we are told that the radius is 11 centimeter. Any line drawn from the center of the circle to touch the circumference is a radius. Yes, 11 centimeter. This is also a radius, 11 centimeter. And we are told that it's 6 centimeter from the center. So the chord is 6 centimeter from the center. So the distance here is what? 6 centimeter. Now the question is, what is the length of the chord? That is, what is the distance from here to here? So what comes to your mind? What comes to your mind? So basically, you can see that these are two right angle triangles. So you could split them to say that, oh, this looks like this, right? This is 6 centimeter. This is 11 centimeter. That means that if I know this value of x, that is this place, if I know this place from here to here, then I also have the answer to here. So I'll just multiply it by 2. So using Pythagoras, we would have that hypotenuse square equals to opposite square plus adjacent square. So my hypotenuse in this case is 11. I have 11 square equals to 6 square plus what? X. So we would have 121 equals to what? 36 plus x. So we would have x squared equals to 121 minus 36. Then value of x will give us square root of 85, because if we subtract that, that should give us what? 121 minus 36 should give us 85. So the square root of 85 should be 9.2 centimeters. So you can imagine what the final answer will be. So the length of the chord, you can say the length of chord will be what? Since we know the value of x and we know here will also be x, we can say length of chord is 2x, and that will be 2 into 9.2, and our answer is 18.4. Final answer. Oftentimes, questions like this usually come out in JAMB every single year. So we are asked to find the mean deviation of this particular data. So first thing that should come to our mind is, how do we get the mean? Because we need the mean to find the mean deviation. So we just quickly do that. X bar, you do the average of everything basically. That will be what? 5 plus 9 plus 11 plus 13 plus 14. Then all over, how many? We have 5 numbers there. Then the sum of the 5 numbers should give us what? 52 over 5. And the answer to that is 10.4. So since we know the mean already, then we need to know the formula for mean deviation. It's very simple. We have this formula. Mean deviation will give us summation x minus x bar all over n. That is, you deduct the mean from each of the values of x, then you introduce absolute value, sum everything together, divided by the total number of variables that you have. So basically what we have is, we draw our table, the table for x and the table for x minus x bar and absolute value of x minus x bar. So what are the values for x that we have? We have 9, 5, 9, 11, 13, and 14. Now, x minus x bar, that will be 5 minus 10.4. What would that be? Minus 5.4. 9 minus that will be minus 1.4. And then 11 minus that will be what? 0.6. Then 13 minus that should be 2.6. And then 14 minus that is 3.6. So introducing absolute value to the values of the middle, it means that wherever the negative appears, it's no longer going to be there. So we have 5.4, 1.4, 0.6, 2.6, and 3.6. Now, the summation of everything on this last end is what we denote as summation x minus x bar, absolute value of x minus x bar. So we have our mean deviation is the sum of everything here. So the total sum of everything on that end is 13.6 over 5. So if you sum this plus this plus this plus this, you have 13.6. Then 13.6 over 5 will give us what? 2.72. If you are solving a question like this in JAMB, you need not to do a table. You can just write out your formula immediately, calculate your mean, then subtract. The data are always going to be very simple, so you don't need to stress yourself on whether you to take your time or not. Data are always very simple. You just subtract quickly, and then the answers that you get might just be a very, very simple answer. Our next question says that if 5x and 17 are consecutive terms in an arithmetic progression, find the value of x. That's our next question. Now, if you look at this, it looks like it's difficult, but it's actually very simple. So if you consider what joins this and this together, because you are told that they are consecutive, that is, they follow each other, that means that the difference between the first term and the second term is the same as the difference between the second term and the third term. I believe that you understand that. So let me give you an instance. So if I have 2, 4, 6, dot, 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 you'll be able to guess that the difference between this term is 2. How do you know? 4 minus 2, then 6 minus 4 is still 2. So it's similar to this. If you have 5, x, 17, that means that if I do the difference between second term and third term, that'll be x minus 5. It will be the same thing between what? 17 minus x. Remember that it is T2 minus T1 should be the same thing as T3 minus T2, because this is our T3 minus T2, then T2 minus T1. So if you collect like terms, you're going to have x plus x equals to 17 plus 5. 2x equals to this plus this is what? 22. X is 11. Who could have thought that it would have been very simple? So it's actually very simple if we observe the question properly. For our next question, we have an inequality question, and this is a combined inequality because we have two inequality in this particular question. So how do we solve? You're asked to solve and as well represent on a number line. So that's going to be quite easy. We have minus 9 less than or equals to x over 2 minus 5 less than 3. So what you could do first is remove and make the variable x the subject in the middle. So minus 5, you have to take it because the constant. Take it to both right and left hand side, both your right and left hand side. So you have minus 9. If you take it here, it becomes positive, less than or equals to x over 2 less than 3 plus 5. Is that okay? So this will give us what? Minus 4 less than or equals to x over 2 less than 8. Now, what you could do here, because you are left with a denominator here, so just multiply both your left and right hand side by the denominator and multiply it by 2. So 2 times this, 2 times this, you have minus 8 less than or equals to x less than or equals to 16. So we arrive at that. So how do we now represent this on a number line? That's quite simple. You're going to have minus 8 and 16. Just join them together since they're on the same range. Now you notice that this has an equals to sign. You shade here since it has an equals to, or if it doesn't have, you could leave it. Is that okay? If it doesn't have, you could leave it. For our next question, we have a question under mensuration. So we are asked to find the volume of a sphere if the surface area is 264. So what we could do is we need to first find the radius of the sphere, right? And we can use the area of the sphere to find the radius. So when we have the radius of the sphere, then we can impute it to find the volume of the sphere. So we have that the area of the sphere is 264 centimeters square, and the formula is A is 4 pi r squared. That's the formula for area of a sphere. Then we have 264, which is the area. You have 4 times 22 over 7 times r squared. If we cross multiply, we are going to have 264 over, we have 264 equals to 88 r squared over 7. Then we can cross multiply. We have 88 r squared equals to 264 times 7. Divide both side by 88, divide both side by 88. This cancels this. Then I believe the solution to this should give us r squared is equals to, so if we divide all of this, we should have 21 as the answer. Then when we square root both sides, r will give us 4.6 centimeter as the square root of 21. So now, since we know the radius, we can impute it in the formula for volume. So the volume of a sphere is given by 4 over 3 pi r cubed. Now, if you are being asked what the volume of a hemisphere is, or the area of a hemisphere, so if you remember that half of a sphere is an hemisphere. So if you're asked to find the area of an hemisphere, it's going to be what? 2 pi r squared, since it's half. Then for the volume of an hemisphere, it's going to be what? 2 over 3 pi r cubed. So we have volume will give us 4 over 3, 22 over 7 times 4.6 raised to the power of 3. Is Is that okay? So the final answer, if we multiply everything together, it gives us what 407.9 centimeter cube. So, but we are asked to round up to the nearest whole number. So the nearest whole number means that this now you approximate it, then you have 408 centimeter cube as our volume. Number 17. We are given this: if x varies directly as y and inversely as the square root of z, what is the relationship between x, y, and z? So this is a variation question. So when you hear relationship, you should quickly understand what it is. So it's a very quick question. So if we have x varies directly as y, you should know that that's how to represent directly. Then inversely, that is reciprocal, 1 over the square root of z. Square root of z, what is the relationship? Quickly remove this variation sign alpha, then equate it and multiply it by a constant, right? When you multiply this by a constant k, y times 1 is y, then you have over z. That's why it's like that. Then when you multiply by constant k, so when they ask you for relationship, basically make k the subject. Cross multiply, you're going to have what? Yk will give you x root z. Then divide both side by y, divide both side by y. The relationship is x root z over y, x, y, and z relationship. I believe if you have seen the first video, you should be able to solve this particular question. So I told you that in the first video, I said if you see 9, 3, 27, 81, and then 243, you will bring everything back to the base of 3 because this is an indices question. If you look at this, we can also do the same thing to this. So what we have is that, first off, remove the 1 over. I mentioned it as well that when you have a reciprocal, the 1 over, you can remove it to become a negative sign in the index. So you can have 9 raised to the power of minus. So the 1 over is gone. Then you have 11 minus 6x is equal 1. This 3, you can write it as, sorry, this 9, you can write it as 3 raised to the power of 2 because 3 times 3 is 9. Then you have minus 2 into 11 minus 6x equals to 1. Now, something beautiful would happen now. Look at it. This 1, I want to look for a way to write it as 3 so that I can cancel the base 3 on both sides and bring down my power. So what I can do is manipulate this. This one, I can write it as 3 raised to the power of 0. I believe that you agree with that. Then 3 cancels 3, right? What would I would have? Bring the minimum power down. Minus 2 into 11 minus 6x equals 0. Opening the bracket, we have minus 22 plus 12x equals 0. Then when you collect like terms or rewrite it, you have 12x equals to 22, then x equals to 11 over 6, because if you divide 2 in 22, 11, 2 in 12, 6. The answer for x is 11 over 6. We have this quadratic expression for our number 19. And how do we solve it? You notice that it doesn't having two variables, square, square, and all of that. It's still the same process of factorization of quadratic equations or expression. So if we want to factorize that, first off, write out your products. Now, what that product basically means is that you're multiplying this and this together. You have 2k squared multiplied by minus 15l squared, and that will give us minus 30k squared l squared. Now, the value, the coefficient here is 30 minus 30, but we need the 30 first. So I look for two numbers that I can multiply together that will give me 30. So I can start with 1, I can start with 2 times 15 and all of that. But the goal is that I'm looking for that specific one that I'll multiply together, and if I sum and or subtract it, I will get the coefficient here. But let's try it. 1 times 30 is 30, 2 times 15 is 30, 3 times 10 is 30, 6 times 5 is 30. I believe that's all. So you want to get the coefficient here. What's the coefficient here? An invisible one. So look for the one that you can add or subtract. That will give you the invisible one there. 30 plus 1 is 31. 30 minus 1 is 29. It didn't give us. 15 minus 2 is 13. Add it again, it will give you 1. If you try this, this will give you 1. But if you look at this gave me 1. 6 minus 5 is 1. That looks like where I'm going, right? I have plus 1. Now, if I have this, I cannot just jump to use the two sums there. I have to still confirm. So what I can do is check if it's correct by multiplying them together. 6 times minus 5, it should give me the coefficient here, minus 30. It worked. So I'll use the sum, then add the variable at the back, 2k squared plus the variable here is lk. So what I'll add at the back is 6lk minus 5lk minus 15l squared. Now we can factorize. So if we factorize this, factorize this, factorize this, so what is common to 2 and 6? Or we divide them, the highest number 2, or we divide both here and here, k as well. So if you remove 2k, you have k plus 3l. Then if you remove minus 5k, or sorry, l here, you are going to have k minus times minus. The sign outside must multiply the sign inside. That'll give you what? Plus. If you remove the l, you're going to have 3l left. So first thing that I need you to notice, this and this must always be the same. There are two reasons why they might not be the same. Is either you have made a mistake while solving, or that quadratic expression or equation is not factorizable. So bracket the first two that is outside, the two terms that are outside, then pick one of the common ones, k plus 3l. We have just factorized the quadratic expression. Our last question in this video, we are given that if A is equals to this, if you remember this, this is the formula for area of a trapezium. Make B the subject of the relation. So we are asked to make B the subject of the formula. So how do we go about that? We'll quickly open the brackets. What do we have? What we could rewrite this as should be a plus b h over 2, so that it can look more simpler, because this has a denominator over 1, right? So that it looks more simpler. Then cross multiply. So you have 2a, you have a plus b into h. Then you are trying to make b the subject, so you have to simplify everything on this side. So open the brackets. A times h is ah plus bh. So take ah to this side so that bh can stand alone. The goal is you're trying to make b to stand alone, so you have to keep manipulating, simplifying until you have b standing alone. So b is not still standing alone. I have a number beside it, and that's what? H. So divide both side by h, divide both side by h cancels h, then our final answer. So therefore b is equals to 2a minus ah over h. Please understand that there's a difference between this a and this particular a. Finally, we have come to the end of the second part of the video of 100 likely mathematics question for year 2026 UTME examination. Endeavor to give a like, and as well still subscribe if you have not subscribed to this particular channel.